Well, it's us again, Ken.
How are you, George?
In our last video, we talked about resources and we specified what they were. And we intimated that they related to scarcity. Let's just talk a little bit more about that.
Well, that term relative is actually quite important. So what we're saying is that at any one point in time, our stock of resources is in fact finite, it's limited in amount.
Yep. Yep.
And in many cases, they are relatively scarce. That is in relation to the massive demands we place upon them.
Exactly. Yes.
So
yes.
what we find is that what drives the production process is the need for us to produce the essentials of life: food, clothing, and shelter, to keep this human organism alive. Right.
And those are the needs.
Those are our needs.
Yeah.
And then we turn our attentions to providing non-essentials, because the demand for what we call wants or luxury items is actually quite, well, it's almost insatiable. It's almost insatiable.
Yes, so we only have to look at our kids and see what they classify as needs and what they classify as wants.
The line between needs and wants gets blurred. That's true.
Sure does.
Daddy, I need a new phone. No, you don't. Not really.
Not really. You want one, but you don't need one. Yeah.
But the big problem, of course, is that every society faces this. It's a universal problem, the problem of scarcity, and it's the problem of relative scarcity. So we simply have to address some basic fundamental questions.
Exactly.
And the three questions we really need to address in terms of what are we going to do with our stock of available productive resources? What goods are we going to produce?
And services as well.
And services as well. So, and we can look at this on a very broad scale, and we ultimately will when we look at our, create our production possibility model. Public versus private goods, or we can look at a simple little example of, do we produce Holden Commodores, or do we produce flat screen TVs, or do we produce new kitchens, or whatever?
Exactly.
Where will those resources go?
Yes.
Where will they go? And that's an interesting problem. So, and it throws up the need for us to have some mechanism to solve this, by the way. What are we going to produce? Next question. How? How are we going to do it?
Yeah,
what techniques of production?
What processes are we going to use? Yeah.
Are we going to use labour-intensive techniques? Are we going to use capital-intensive techniques?
Okay. In other words, humans digging the road or a bulldozer.
Very true.
Yeah.
Very true. And of course, there's another business decision to make here, and that, of course, is how much.
How much?
How much are we going to produce?
Yes.
So there's a quantity that needs to be determined, and what we'll discover in our analysis of our market-based economy, that the how much will be determined by how much consumers want to buy.
Yep.
So there's an element of consumer power, which we call consumer sovereignty, which creeps into this. But the how decision is largely a business decision based upon the desire of capitalist or private enterprise people to make as much money as they can. So they're keen to produce in the least cost manner. The most cost-effective manner.
I always think at this point it's also important to point out that in the use of these resources, the owners of those resources, at least in a capitalist system, will want to get a reward for that use.
Payments to resources.
Payments to resources, which land is rent, labour is wages and salaries.
That's right.
Capital is, we just lump it, we call interest, and then entrepreneurship gets the rest.
Correct.
And that's the profits. And so, if these resources are being used, it also raises the third problem, which is who gets the proceeds.
Who gets the goodies?
Who gets the goodies?
Once we've produced the goods and services that we think the society wants, who actually gets? How do we allocate them?
How do we allocate them?
So for whom are we producing? So we've got this fundamental set of questions. What to produce, how and how much to produce, and for whom to produce.
Okay, so let's kind of summarize this then. So we've got resources. We've established that our wants and needs are in fact unlimited, and so some choices have to be made.
Choices have
And
to
the
be
choices have to be made about these things we've just
because
listed.
we can't have everything.
We can't have everything, yes.
That's right.
Yeah, there's no such thing as a free lunch, I think
No,
some
so-
economists say, yeah.
So we need some mechanism,
Yes,
some process by which
yes.
that will provide answers to these
Yes.
questions.
So, and all societies face this
This is a universal problem,
yeah.
and these three questions manifest themselves universally.
Okay.
Every society, every economic system
That's right,
has to
yes.
address these.
Yes, and so what we need to talk about in our next video
Yep.
is what what types of society
Yep.
are possible
Yep.
and exist to solve this
Yep.
scarcity problem.
Look forward to it.